The Trump bump has come home to roost. All of these outlets, MSNBC in particular, all of you should be ashamed of yourselves. My God. Glenn Greenwald. You ever go to on Reddit? There's a subreddit called Murdered by Words. What does murdered by words mean? It's when you respond to somebody with a phrase. It's a response that utterly destroys what they're saying, humiliates them. And my God, nothing has been better than watching Glenn Greenwald go at it nonstop since the Mueller report dropped. With the confirmation from Barr, a quote from Mueller that they found no evidence of collusion. My God, has Glenn Greenwald gone off in one of the most entertaining, cathartic fashions I've ever seen, tearing apart the Russiagators, the collusion truthers. If for some reason you didn't hear what happened yesterday, Barr released a summary of the Mueller report saying, in a quote, that Mueller found no evidence of collusion and was leaving obstruction to them, which they concluded there wasn't really enough evidence to prosecute collusion. So that's it. There's no obstruction. There's no collusion. It was not within the purview of Robert Mueller to search for obstruction. Thus, he made no determination. I think he did a good job. You know, listen, before we start reading these awesome, epic statements from Mr. Greenwald, why was it that some of us did a good job when it came to Russiagate? Why is it that some of us didn't really report on it? Look, I didn't really cover it. I didn't. You know why? No evidence. In fact, most of the time when I did talk about it, I said something to the effect of, maybe there's something there. I just don't see it. I don't think we're going to get anything out of it. But that's in my opinion, the right way to do it. I mean, obviously, it's my opinion. It's the way I cover stories and I do news. Many people at MSNBC, my God, Glenn's got one tweet, we'll get to it, where Rachel Maddow's like, did you know that a Russian flew into North Carolina the same day as a Trump rally? And it's like, dude, do you know how many people fly every day? Do you know how many flights there are every day? But that's it. Her evidence. That's how crazy they went with it. Russia, Putin nonstop. And for me, I'm kind of like, oh, I don't know. I need some evidence. That's simple. You did have people like Glenn. You had people like Michael Tracy. You had many conservatives saying, no, this is ridiculous. The reporting's wrong. And they did cover it. I kind of stayed away from it. But let's see what Mr. Greenwald has to say, because I got a glorious array of tweets. While standard liberal outlets obediently said whatever they were told by the CIA and FBI, many reporters at right-wing media outlets, which are routinely mocked by super smart liberals as primitive and propagandistic, did relentlessly great digging and reporting. Sorry, this is true. And someone said, good day for Glenn Greenwald, The Federalist, Chuck Ross, DC, and among others. He responded, check every MSNBC personality, CNN law expert, liberal centrist outlets, and resistant scam artists, and see if you see even an iota of self-reflection, humility, or admission of massive error. This is where it gets oof. Ashley Feinberg said, what's your favorite Federalist article? What is that supposed to mean? Well, Glenn said, LOL, Ashley. Federalist writers are right-wing idiots, religious even, who just accidentally got the major story of the last 2 years right, while all your super savvy Brooklyn liberal friends spread conspiratorial trash. Ironic lists and punctuation-free tweets will erase it. Oh my God. r/murdered by words. Oof. Now, I don't think Ashley covers anything having to do with Russia, so I don't know what the question was supposed to mean. She said, I just want to know what your favorite article is, what your favorite is. And Glenn said this one, could President Donald Trump be a Russian intelligence, I think it's this asset. And it's a link to an MSNBC video. I never said mainstream reporting on Russia didn't suck. I'm just wondering why that makes the Federalist good. Glenn goes on to say, hard to pick a favorite. And it's fascinating that this is what you want to talk about now, but this one article that I picked randomly contained more truth about this topic than 2 straight years on this topic from MSNBC Talking Points memo and Mother Jones combined. And then we have someone tagged Molly Hemingway, who is a writer with The Federalist. They said, I think this is sort of a compliment, Molly Hemingway. She responded, I take it as one, and I'm sure he agrees with me politically as much as I agree with him, which is not a huge amount. A shared skepticism of intel authorities and courage against the mob paid off for both of us here, however. And Glenn said 2 attributes that should be commonplace and reflexive, not exceptional or aberrational for journalists. A shared skepticism of intel authorities and courage against the mob. And here we have a conservative and a progressive uniting to drag the Russiagators, the fringe lunatic conspiracy theorists. Now, I see a lot of people dragging the left, saying the left was all wrong. And yes, probably to the greatest extent. You know, you had CNN. I think Anderson Cooper actually did a fairly decent job last night. I'm not kidding. I'll explain that in a second. But you have Michael Tracy. You've got Glenn Greenwald. Who are some other? Aaron Mattei from The Nationalist. These are people on the left who are telling all of these people, stop. Just stop. Okay? And that's how I feel often. When I hear about the Green New Deal, my immediate reaction is like, dude, stop. Stop. You're hurting yourself. You're hurting the left. You are making it harder to get democratic and socially liberal policies. And what happens? They laugh. They scoff. They call me a conservative. They call Glenn, what's your favorite Federalist article? What happens? AFL-CIO comes out and says Green New Deal sucks. Oh, you lost the left. Congratulations. You can keep your fringe, weird 9/11, I don't want to drag 9/11 truths on this one. This is a whole other ball game. These are people who thought, okay, listen, I have compared the 9/11 truth movement and this. They're very similar, in my opinion. The belief that the president was somehow colluding. But let's think about the rather absurdity here. If you're not familiar with 9/11 truth and all that stuff, there are some interesting things that are brought up. Excuse me. Operation Northwoods, for instance. Yes, U.S. government officials have proposed false flag attacks in the past. Gulf of Tonkin, for instance. And people cite these and say, hey, that's why it's possible. The idea that the president of the U.S. staged an attack on U.S. Okay, I completely disagree. I think the odds of that are astronomically rare. The president doesn't have as much power as people think. Here's the thing. This is for 2 years, mainstream cable television believing that Donald Trump was working with Putin or that Putin was blackmailing him. Or I swear to God, I tweeted this out the other day, a clip from Chris Hayes where he says we should entertain the small possibility that Donald Trump has been a Russian intelligence asset since 1987. Come on. I think that's crazier. That what the... Oh, man. But I'm loving watching Glenn Greenwald just tear everyone apart. He says, people are, so now we got people tweeting at him saying things like, we didn't see the Mueller report, yada, yada, yada. Glenn Greenwald says, Mueller didn't just announce he wasn't indicting or prosecuting. He affirmatively said after 20 months of aggressive investigation that he found no evidence that Trump or his aides conspired with Russians over the election. Oh, but Glenn, you missed the part where he said, nor any American. That gets all of the Americans off the hook, all of them. There were a lot of people pointing to Cassandra Fairbanks. If you're not familiar, she's a writer for Gateway Pundit. I've known her for years. And they were saying you're going to be indicted because she worked for Sputnik. I think. Nope, you're crazy. You're all weird conspiracy theorists. So I don't know. Cassandra's both simultaneously supposed to be like alt-right and a Russian troll or something. But nope, neither are true. Glenn said, for those trying the angle that collusion existed, but poor little Mueller just couldn't find it. Please. That may be the most embarrassing and insulting excuse of all. For 20 months, all we heard was he had assembled the most aggressive and skilled team ever. This is what they did. He employed 19 lawyers who were assisted by a team of approximately 40 FBI agents, intelligence analysts, forensic accountants, and other professional staff. The special counsel issued more than 2,800 subpoenas, executed nearly 500 search warrants, obtained more than 230 orders for communication records, issued almost 50 orders authorizing use of pen registers, made 13 requests to foreign governments for evidence, and interviewed approximately 500 witnesses. You don't get to, for years, talk about the Mueller and how it's the walls are closing in. Look, did you guys know who Keemstar is? YouTube personality, but he tweeted out this video where it goes from the beginning of Trump's presidency till like the late last year, where it's just nonstop pundits going, the walls are closing in. The walls are closing in. Now, the walls are closing in. It's the beginning of the end, And it shows you that the month, every new month, there's like 15 different people saying this is the end. Never. It's all nonsense. It is insane, lunatic, paranoid schizophrenia on cable television. And they want to tell you that it's Glenn who's crazy. It's me who's crazy. Now, Glenn's a big, famous journalist. Don't get me wrong. He's not on YouTube. But yes, they try to drag him. Why? Well, because Glenn's a progressive on the left. I disagree with a lot of what Glenn talks about. But I love it. I love the unity we're finding here, pointing to the look. I can disagree with your opinion. I disagree with my Trump supporter friends all the time. I actually strangely agree with my lefty friends, but I disagree with Glenn Greenwald on some things. Probably agree with him a lot more than a lot of Trump supporter people. That's the point. I can disagree and still respect the fact that Glenn has the ability to actually fact check, to do journalism, to say, hey, this is nuts. Okay. I'm not a big fan. I'm not at all. Who would have guessed that if news outlets hired lifelong intelligence operatives trained in deceit, disinformation, and propaganda, that they would end up misleading millions of their viewers? They turned themselves into CIA TV and are now paying the price. I love reading Glenn Greenwald's Twitter timeline right now. It is glorious schadenfreude. He's going to town on these people. And the reason why, listen, I have friends who are super into 9/11 truth. By all means, believe whatever you want. I have friends who believe the Russian nonsense. Hey, more power to you. The thing is, they mock, they ridicule conspiracy theorists. They point the finger and say, you're a lunatic. And then they do the same thing. Worse still, they say, we're the only ones who know the truth. Therefore, you must ban and suspend and derank YouTubers and people on Instagram, misinformation. I got to wonder. Do you guys know what NewsGuard is? I use NewsGuard. NewsGuard is a service that gives you a green check mark or a red X. And there's some criteria that if you follow, they'll determine you to be a healthy part of your news diet. Fox News is considered healthy. I think MSNBC is, but I have to wonder. Can we now ask, can I say to NewsGuard, will you give MSNBC a red X? Because one of the criteria for NewsGuard is that they don't continually publish false information. Yes, I think they're deserving. Anyway, I'm not going to rant. I'm not going to go on too long with this. This has been your glorious schadenfreude, courtesy of Glenn Greenwald, ripping into the Russiagate conspiracy theorists, the collusion truthers, who still won't let it go. Oh, yeah, let me explain Anderson Cooper real quick. Because Anderson Cooper last night says, I was watching the show and he goes, this is a huge win for Donald Trump. Like, just plain as day. Like, there it is. And I was like, yeah, he's right. And then he brought up how, I can't remember the exact quote, but I'll paraphrase. He said something to the effect that isn't it strange? You have Democrats moping. They're actually sad that their president isn't a foreign asset trying to subvert our government. They're sad about it. Anderson Cooper brought that up and I was like, bravo, absolutely. And he said, this is a good day for America. We've cleared the air. We know the president wasn't doing anything wrong. Why are they moping around sad and angry this is the case? And he had a guest on who was like, yes. That is, all right, I think, who did he have? I can't remember who he had on, but they were like, this is a good day and people need to stop fighting. I think it might have been Kasich. I don't know, but he was right. And there you go. I do think we're going to start seeing the apologists come in. Brian Stelter has been pretty apologetic saying, no, we were just following the breadcrumbs. We were following the breadcrumbs left by Trump. Oh, please. Rachel Maddow ran a segment where she said because Trump had a rally in North Carolina and a Russian guy flew in, collusion. No, it's just that sometimes people fly to some cities and there are literally how many Russian citizens? 100 million people living in Russia or something like that. And one of them flew here. Yeah, okay. It turned out he was like a big businessman. But you're surprised that a business guy flew to the United States? It's just so insane. They don't do the red tape crime web when, a French businessman flies in. No, they don't care about that. People look for patterns. They looked for Russia. They saw Russia. They went nuts. And now the Trump bump has come home to roost. I'll see you in the next video at 1 p.m.